Now, the UN Secretary General is calling on the world to rev up the engine of development. The comments from Antonio Guterres were made at the UN's Financing for Development Summit that's underway in Seville. The gathering comes as Donald Trump guts USAID and other Western states, including France, Germany, and Britain, make cuts to development to boost funding in defense.
A world shaken by inequalities, climate chaos, and raging conflicts. The link between peace and development is clear. 9 of the 10 countries with the lowest human development indicators are currently in a state of conflict. Financing is the engine of development, and right now, this engine is spluttering.
We can now go across to Sarah Morris, standing by in Madrid. Sarah, good afternoon to you. The big absentee from this conference, of course, is what has typically been the world's biggest donor for development aid. Can anything really be accomplished in Seville?
That is the big question, Delana, because most of the leaders were hoping that the United States would be at this summit in Seville and that it would be signing up in some shape or form to the final declaration. But Donald Trump and his delegates pulled out. And that begs the question as to whether those development goals of 2030 can be met. 40% of that development aid came from the United States. Some people have been sceptical about what this conference can achieve in the absence of that development aid from the United States, and as other countries like the UK and Germany cut back on their development aid to meet those that increase in defence spending. And we heard Antonio Guterres talking starkly, saying that there was 4 trillion a year in funding needed to ensure that those development goals could be met. And really appealing to other countries to step up, appealing to the private sector. Pedro Sanchez, the Socialist Prime Minister, said that it was time to show the commitment for multilateralism. And the optimists at the summit said exactly that it was important to show that this was a multilateral world still, and that important progress on cleaning up poverty, reducing the poverty gap, tackling climate change, reducing notably the difference between the global south and the global north, that could all still be met. And important commitments will be made in response to some of those African countries to looking at ways to help debt financing, because many of those countries in the developing world are laden down with the increased costs of debts. That means that about 50% of their income may go to paying off debt, which means they can't be financing tackling climate change and also education and health systems.
Sarah, while I've got you, we're getting news that a Spanish socialist heavyweight has been detained in a corruption case. What can you tell us about Santos Cerdán? I'm not sure I'm saying that right.
Yes, you are. Santos Cerdán was really Pedro Sanchez's right-hand man until he was forced to step down. He was the second right-hand man to have to go. And basically today he was in court being questioned by a judge who said that there are reasons to remand him in custody. He's suspected of taking 600,000 euros in backhanders on public contracts, and the judge said there was a risk that some of the evidence that still needs to be analysed could be tampered with. Now, Sanchez forced in Seville to react in live time to that remanding in custody, and he said basically the socialists had reacted swiftly in throwing him out of the party, and that now it was time for the justice system to run its course. Santos Cerdán basically saying he is innocent and he will prove that he has nothing to do with these allegations.
Sarah, thank you very much for that. Sarah Morris reporting there.